Rows and columns are used to build out the structure on your page. Any place you see these blue lines appear, those are columns. Let's see how you work with these elements. Bring in a new block and go to the Add Elements toolbar on the left, and note that we have the column and row at the top. The one you will use most of the time is the column element. Click, hold and drag and drop it. By default, you get 2 columns that come in, and just like with a block, you can build out this with all the content within the elements sidebar. Add more columns up to 6. Delete. And duplicate columns if you want to duplicate the content, not only the column. Here is a good example of the typical usage of columns with an icon, a heading, and then some text. In the event where you want to move any of these columns around, you can simply go to the column settings in the toolbar and select these arrows to move them to the located area you want them. Columns can also be linked, and that means you can bring in a URL or add it to a block, make it a pop-up, and even a download file. All the styling options such as a background, overlay, padding and margins are available. Change the column's width by grabbing the handle in the middle, or go to the option settings in the top and type it in automatically. Here you also have control over the height, whether you want it at auto or set a custom height. And you can also position the content spacing within the column. A great feature in the builder is the responsiveness of columns. Within mobile, all columns in a row become very flexible in responsive viewing, and that you can drag the handle and place them to the width that you want. These become stackable, and you can also reverse it by selecting the reverse from the options toolbar. To bring more structure to your column setup, you can bring columns within columns. That is done by grabbing another column element and dragging it into the existing column. In this case, you will see now you have these pink borders indicating that it's columns within columns. Here is a good example of how a footer was built out using the column to create the extra links and then breaking it into 2 more columns to display the links. This is also a good usage example of the row element. Let's bring in a new block first, and then we go to Add Elements and bring in the row element. Looking at it the first time, you will think it's just 2 columns, but you will note we have an options toolbar indicating that this is a row element. The row element becomes particularly useful when you want to group elements and have more structure within your columns. This was done also here by grouping them together in the row, then having the columns and then bringing in columns within columns. That makes it very easy that if you need to move this around, you can simply grab the row element and drag it to the location you want it. If it wasn't within a row, you would have needed to move these columns individually. Whenever you need this kind of grouping and you may move it around, remember to use a row element, as that will solve a lot of problems for you.